But right now we're going to focus on market structure. Oh, let me go back to the page. Right, and I'm going to take this information directly from the Candlestick Trading Bible, because it's a really good resource if you're studying trading and this is something you're serious about. So basically, everything in red that I have highlighted are things that you should probably write down if you're taking notes. But I'm also going to give you live examples from the market as well, because we are talking about market structure, which is how is the market moving? Is it trending? Right? Is it trending upwards? Is it trending downwards? Or is it ranging or consolidating? Right? Because there's only three ways that the market can move. You can write that down as well. It can be an uptrend, right? It could be a downtrend, or it could be a ranging or consolidating market. And it's important for you to know that because you always want to trade with the trend. If you see that a market is trending upwards, you're only going to want to focus on buys, right? You're going to want to take as less sells as possible because you always want to go with the trend. If you see a crowd of people running, are you going to run towards where they're running, or are you going to run the opposite way? Right? Think about it like that. If you see a bunch of people running, I'm gonna run with those people, right? I'm gonna run with those people. And that's exactly how it is in the market and why you must understand market structure and trends, right? So one of the most important skills that you need as a trader is the ability to read the market. It is a critical skill that would allow you to use the right price action strategies in the right market conditions. And again, trending markets are characterized by a repeating pattern of higher highs and lower lows in an uptrend market and lower highs and lower lows in a downtrend market. Now, when I first heard that, I just heard Charlie Brown teacher. I'm like, what? But then when I started to look at it and break it down, it really just made a lot more sense to me. So hopefully this visual will make sense to you as I explain it. And then I'm going to show you a real example of this in the market. I mean, hopefully by the end of this class, you'll be able to easily identify trends, right? And to find better positions in the market and make more money. So this is an example of an uptrend. An uptrend, like they said, is composed of higher highs, right, which is what the HH stands for, and higher lows, which is what the HL stands for. And this pretty much means that this is a high, right? We can see that from here, right, to this point, the market went from a low point to a high point, right? And we don't see anything above this. So this was the highest high that the market got to in that time frame, right? If you guys can see that, drop some. All right. I have some fours in the chat. You guys can just put eights when I'm good. Okay. All right. I got some eights. So an example of an uptrend is easy to identify. I'm going to give you guys a few simple ways you can write this down, that you can remember, that you can recognize in an uptrend, right? So first and foremost, if you're a visual person, right, trading I think is very visual. The market is going to look like this, right? It's going to look like it's going up, right? Imagine a roller coaster, right, going up. That's what you're going to see in the uptrend, right? Or you're just going to see more blue candles because it's an uptrend, right? That means prices consistently going higher. That's why you have these HHs here, right? We can see that this is a low point in the market, and we can see that this was a high point in the market during this time period, right? If you guys can see that, right, just drop some sevens in the chat. Okay. So now this is called a higher high, right? Because it's a different section of the market, right? Time has moved on. It's a different section of the market. However, this high is higher than the previous high, right? And then this high is going to be higher than the previous high. So in an uptrend, you can identify it three easy ways. You can see the shape of it, right? I highly encourage you to just take a glance, right, at the shape of the market. Is it going up? That's letting you know that there are going to be more buy opportunities for you and that you should probably avoid sales during this time. You can identify it by the color, right? So if you see more blue candles or green candles, just by looking at it, you can determine, okay, this is an uptrend. Or you can simply notice, and it's all honestly the same thing, you can notice the higher highs getting higher and higher and higher over the course of time, letting you know that market most likely is going to continue to buy for some time. Now, the HL is just the opposite. It's just higher lows, right? Because during this period of time, we can see that this was a high and we can see that this was a low, right? But then as the market continued to go up, we see that it created a new high, but then obviously in a new time frame, it's going to create a new low, right? Now, let me just clear some of this stuff and just draw these lines back. So we have a high here and we have a low here. As the market moved up, there's always going to be some low points. It's never going to consistently move in one direction. But this low is a higher low than the previous low, right? This low is a higher low than the previous low. Hence is why it's called higher lows. So these are just the technical terms that you can use to identify things when you're looking at the market. And it's going to be the same thing for a downtrend, right? But of course, it's just going to be lower highs, right? Because the market is going to be doing these things. You're either going to notice a down shape, right? You can think about a roller coaster going down visually when you see it, right? We've all seen the market doing that. You can recognize it by the color. So you can have more red candles than you see green candles, letting you know that sellers have had more momentum in this market. Or again, you can look at the lower high, right? Price is going down, but there's still these levels. There's this high and there's this low within this time frame, right? Then there's this high and this low within this time frame, right? So those are ways that you can recognize a downtrend. And all of these just fall under the definition of market structure, right? What is the market doing? What is the structure of the market right now, right? Now, this book also lets you know how you should actually trade these markets, right? It tells you if you're going to be trading an uptrend, you want to wait until there's a dramatic drop and the price comes back down. But we're not going to go over that now. We're actually just going to look at the real market, right? So you've chosen your currency pair. Another thing you're going to want to do as well is probably check the news or some type of visual website. A website I like to use now is finviz.com, because again, I'm a visual person. Trading is very visual. So you can also go to finviz before you select your pair just to see what the market is doing, right? And finviz just stands for financial visualizations, right? It's straight to the point, right? So you come here, of course you would click Forex because that's what we're working on. Close that ad, right? And then you're going to see these things over here on the left. You're going to see quotes, performance, and charts. You want to click performance. And this is just showing you how things are performing against the US dollar, right? So if I want to do Euro USD, of course, I'm going to look at Euro. And just by looking at this, would you say that Euro USD is on an uptrend or a downtrend? What would you guys say by looking at this simple visualization? You can just drop it in the chat. All right, we got up. All right, so yeah, I would say up as well, right? I would say up as well. You can also on the homepage, hold on the Forex homepage here, we could just look at Euro USD and see it's green, right? But you want to look at performance. You can look at both depending on whichever one you prefer. But if you just look at the quotes page, you're going to be able to see that Euro USD is green. So in my mind, okay, I already have a bias towards buy, but let's actually get into the market, right? So let's look at the structure. So first and foremost, I'm just going to put my time frame first on a day. We're going to look at this over multiple time frames just to get a more clear analysis. Let me just refresh this. I'm going to change it to today. All right, there we go. So just to go over what we just did really quickly, if we saw this, we just going to focus on this section of the market. If we were looking at this section of the market, would you guys say the market was in an uptrend, a downtrend, or was it indecisive? Was it moving sideways? Okay, we got uptrend, uptrend, right? And what are some reasons we know that this is an uptrend just by first glance? Yep, more green candles. Yep, upward direction of candles. Yep, exactly, creating higher highs. Exactly. Yep, right. And if we were to look at something like this, we can clearly is a downtrend, right? Clearly we see the shape, we see the color, we see the lower lows being created. And the cool thing about forex is, again, if I'm looking at this on the day, right, I always recommend that you look at your charts and you do your analysis over multiple time frames, because it's going to give you a really good idea as to what's going on in the market. Now let me just delete these notes. I wish I could hide them, but it's okay. These are notes from the class from yesterday. All right, there we go. So if we're looking at the candles over days, that means that each one of these candles is a day. So this is telling you the price action for the last 7 days, right? We're still at the beginning of the week. The candle isn't that formed, but we can clearly see that Euro USD is on an uptrend, right? Word to Finviz, right? So far, we got 2 confirmations that our bias should be in the direction of a buy, right? If you guys are understanding so far why, just drop a 7 in the chat. We can see that over the last 7 days, over the last 14 days, over the last 21 days, for this entire month, for the last 4 weeks, because each of these candles is 7 days, we can see that Euro USD has been on an uptrend, right? So these are all mental notes that you're taking when you're doing your analysis. You like, okay, what is the market structure? I can see, if I'm doing my analysis on a wide time frame, for the last 7 days, this market has been buying. So TradingView has all these tools. You can come to the side, get a horizontal line. You can put a line there, and you can put a line there, right? And I'm placing these lines here because I'm trying to see what area the market was forming a pattern in, right? I can go up, right? I can add another horizontal line here because I can see, that the market also spent some time in this area, right? Now, the market will always spend time in a certain area, but when it decides to break out, it's creating, if it's in a going in an uptrend, that means that it's creating new higher highs. That means the market is moving to new levels, or is moving to previous highs from the past, right? So we're going to keep drawing some lines, right? And this is over days. So right now we're probably back a few weeks, but that's okay because these areas of support and resistance are still relevant, right? Support and resistance gives you those levels. Okay, so I'm breaking up. Okay, you guys let me know when I'm good. Drop some 8s if you can hear me clearly. Drop some 4s if I'm still breaking up. All right, I got some 8s, so I'm going to continue. So pretty much, when you are putting these horizontal lines in your chart, you're trying to find zones where the market spent a lot of time, right? So we can see in this zone, the market was here, then it went here, and then it actually broke structure. That's what we're talking about today, is it broke structure here, right? If we were to pay attention, because each of these candles are days, right? So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. For 11 days, right? Price was kind of stuck in this area. It would come down and then it would go up, right? Wait, let me move this. It would go up to like $1.05, right? Price would come to this area and then it would come back down. It had a hard time breaking out of that area. Then when it stopped moving sideways, it decided that it wanted to be on a quick downtrend for 3 days, right? It formed a new low, right? Then price decided to go up. It decided to go up. So once price hit $1.05 again, right? Let's just say on the 15th day, you would have thought that it was going to sell because that's what it's been doing. But it actually broke structure, right? And it created a higher high, confirming that Euro USD has been on the uptrend for a couple of days, right? If that makes sense, y'all, drop some sevens in the chat, right? The market will always, it can be doing the same thing for days, right? It was in this same zone for 11 days. Then it decided that it wanted to sell, right? It hit a new low because this was the previous low. It hit a new low and then it started to form a new pattern. You would have thought that it would have hit the same high and sell again, but it broke structure and it started to create a new pattern, right? It started to create a new pattern. And then look, it actually came back down to the previous zone as well, right? And this is why it's so important for you to take a few minutes to mark up your charts, because this is over days, right? But we don't want to wait days to get into our trade. So let's do the same exact thing on a 4-hour time frame, right? We can set up more areas of support and resistance to find out if the market stayed within that structure. Is it going to stay within that structure, or is it going to break structure and move into another zone? Now let me just zoom out. Let me just zoom out, because you don't have to look at this little part of the market when you're doing your analysis. If we were to look at it like this, can't you guys see so much price action, right? And you're analyzing more data in a shorter amount of time. Do you guys see more, right? And then we can go back even further, right? We can set up more areas of support and resistance where we see there was resistance, right? Where we see it was coming down. You can set up as many as you want, because at the end of the day, price will always break structure. And let me just draw out an example on this large time frame. So we can see that price had a lower high, right? And then it sold, and then it sold, right? And then it created a new lower high, right? Then it created a new lower low, right? We can see that. Then we see price has a new lower high, right? Because price is going down. Essentially, we can see the whole market. Price is going down, right? But there's always a new low, right? And then price is, sorry, y'all. Price can be doing this. We see how long price was in the zone, but then what happened? It broke structure and created a new point, right? You always think it may be doing the same thing. It came up, it was doing the same thing for a minute. It came back into the zone, it broke structure, and it created a new zone. But then it came back into the previous zone. And then what happened? It broke structure and created some structure down here, right? So it's nice to do your analysis over multiple time frames, so that you get a better picture. So we're going to keep these notes. We got our day notes and we have our 4-hour notes on the same chart. You can always change the color if you want based on the level that it's at, just to, I don't know, let's just say this is our 4-hour. This is our 4-hour. Right. So guys, this is just an introduction to market structure. This is part 1. We are going to start part 2. I'm going to end this one and we're going to start another video. So you guys can literally just stay on the link, but I will be right back and we will continue this lesson. But If you're learning something so far, or if you've learned something so far and it's making sense, just drop some sevens in the chat. All right, awesome. And we will be right back.